Hello there, this is Thomas the Tank Collection video number 21 for me. A bit of sad news in this one as well. But to start with, I'm going to venture into the query about the difference in speeds between these two trains right here. This one here is a Thomas. It's marked 2005 underneath. It's from the Ultimate Thomas set that I bought right at the end of the Tomy era. Little did we know that things would change in a very different way and get worse and worse as the years went on. This is a steaming Thomas, mind you. The steaming aspect of this one has stopped and I'm yet to repair that. It is powered by the Annie carriage here with 3 AAA batteries. There's 2 which lay in across the top here and 1 underneath here. So you turn basically Annie on it and that powers the rest of the train. So there's a union there that can't be split. But nevertheless, it is a totally awesome metallic Thomas the Tank that I think a lot of people would love to have. This Thomas toy here and the whole playset, I am kicking myself that I didn't pick up 2 or 3 of those at the time, but you don't see what the future is going to bring, do you? I notice these things hold their value really well online as well. They will still pull good value even though they're missing components off them. I've often seen it where they're missing this part here, which is like the water reservoir area underneath for the steam. Now, it's what I classify a super fast Thomas. It goes very, very fast, but recently and most incredibly I purchased this Thomas here. It's a Tomy Thomas as well. It's a Streamliner Thomas from the Great Race. I hope I got it right there. It is one of the most impressive Thomas toys that I've bought. In fact, it's one of the most impressive toys that I've purchased in my 10 years of stuffing about on YouTube. It's the sort of toy eye candy that, well, put it this way, you don't see from other toy manufacturers without saying the M word. And if we go up the front here, what is peculiar about this, a couple of things, apart from looking awesome, is it's powered by 1 AA battery up here, inside there, and it's got 2 speed settings. So there's like a high speed and there's like a, well, normal speed. I'll tell you what, when my son and I play with this toy, it's always going at top speed. It is that sort of toy. You can't keep your hands off this one when you're playing with it. It actually just feels like quality when you pick this up and you pick Annie and Clarabelle up. It's like the good old days of the way these toys used to be made. Cough, cough, the company starting with M, please go back to something like this. But because they control the brand, we probably never see it. Anyway, before I get into any more trouble, let's get this, what I call the Ultimate Thomas, super fast Thomas going on the track here, and I'll try and incorporate the other Thomas as well. Go, Thomas! Go! Yeah! And what I should say also is that I have incorporated fresh batteries in all these toys. Now, I've just got to get this Thomas back to the other side here and then incorporate the Tomy Streamliner Thomas. Got to remember how to say these toys. I'm going to turn it on first. I'm going to get the Streamliner on the track there without a train derailment. Okay, there they go. Now, which one of those is faster? One will catch up to the other if one is faster than the other. Let's see how this plays out, eh? Lots and lots of people have asked this question. It's a very worthwhile question to ask, and I tell you what, I believe the Streamliner Thomas is catching up and nudging the back of Clarabelle there. Yes, the Streamliner Thomas powered 1 AA battery is faster than the super fast Thomas. It looks super cool and it's all metallic and it's totally Tomy awesome. Yay! So I hope you believe me on that one. That looks totally Tomy awesome, doesn't it? Hey, let me just separate these 2 away again. If I just catch this one for a bit and we'll see it happen again. Because I know some people say, oh, but Leo, you're cheating. No, there you go. There it is catching up. Okay? That's proof that it's faster. Okay, boys and girls, even though it looks like it's going backwards, if I just get the turntable slowed up a bit, you'll see Streamliner Thomas go! Thomas go! I'll tell you what, I'll be quite honest here, there's not that much difference in speed between that Tomy Thomas there and this one here. Let me separate them. Oh, no, it's a train wreck. Sorry, Thomas is here. This is going to get ugly. Oh, there you go. That's a train wreck, and if I get this one on very quickly, without cutting the camera, it's only going to get uglier and uglier, isn't it? Hey? I can do this. I'm not giving up. Do not ever give up trying to re-rail trains. I can do this. There you go. Success. Have a positive attitude. Anything is possible, apart from trying to get views on YouTube. Yeah, there you go. It's caught up again very quickly. Let me separate this away again. Not quite sure how to do that. If I lift that one up, there we go. Okay. I've got that Thomas head nudging the back there, and look at that there. The Streamliner Thomas is away. Going super fast, and it won't be long, it's going to catch up. There we go. And I know someone's going to say, oh, but Leo, what about Trackmaster 2? Okay, well, let's incorporate a Trackmaster 2 Thomas, all by himself without Annie and Clarabelle, because it looks like rubbish, onto here. Let's see how fast that one is. Oh! Who put the brakes on Thomas? They told me that Thomas was super fast. Come on, boys and girls. That's meant to be really, really high performance. What's going on? In fact, that Trackmaster 2 Thomas is holding up the works. I think there's going to be a train disaster in a second. We couldn't have that happen, could we? Look at that. Streamliner Thomas is giving Clarabelle a bit of a nudge there because he's been held up by the Trackmaster 2 Thomas. That's looking very, very ugly, isn't it? Very ugly indeed. And it's the sort of thing that ends up being a train disaster. Streamliner Thomas is off. The super fast Thomas is in all sorts of trouble because they're powered. Oh, Trackmaster 2 Thomas has come round for a blast there. It said, I'm not being told I'm slow and hopeless. I'm going to fight my way right to the end of this battle. But the ultimate Thomas is still fighting on there. Who's going to win this? Oh, I can't keep my eyes off this. There's a stalemate going on there between Superfast Thomas and Trackmaster 2 Thomas. Both of them are sort of semi-derailed there. Oh, come on, Thomas, come on. One of you guys are going to have to give up the ghost here. Surely. Oh, it's just been given a nudge. It looks like Superfast Thomas has won. He's still on the rails there. Trackmaster 2 Thomas is laying down there. Oh, poor Trackmaster 2 Thomas. Never mind, maybe next time. And Streamliner Thomas over here, totally awesome. I better turn it off. Well, that was the first to jump the line, maybe because it was in total and utter shock. I better turn Annie off here on my super fast Thomas. Totally awesome, isn't it? Just amazing how good it used to be. Mind you, if you don't know anything better, that's going to be the most amazing Thomas you've ever seen in your life, hey? Maybe in 20 years' time we'll be saying Trackmaster 2 is totally amazing. I'm sure we will be. And of course, I still believe that is one of the best Thomas toys I've ever had, that I've ever purchased in my years and years looking at these toys. Okay, I'll gently push this to the side. I know, you're going to say, but Leo, what about that really super-powered, rocket-powered Thomas that you made Trackmaster 2 with the 9-volt battery here? Well, this is a bit of sad news, isn't it? I'm having a lot of batteries doing this on me. Can you see what's gone on there? It has all gone leaky. It has actually corroded up through the terminals here, and if I pull this out, you can see that terminals are broken off there. That battery there is cactus. See how it's all bloated? What is it with these batteries that do things like this? And I've basically destroyed this Thomas. I need to do some work on that. And maybe we can go back and do a speed test between this and the Streamliner. And I'll gently push that aside. So this is Thomas the Tank toy collecting video number 21. Quite amazing, I've got to 21. Will we get to 22, 23, 24, 25 and onwards? It's going to be tricky because the charity shop that supplies the Thomas toys to me and I give them brand new toys I look at on YouTube has closed down. I'll say that for a second time, it has closed down. Okay. I think basically the easiest way to say it is the shop or the whole complex was bought by somebody else and they see a different vision for what's going on in the place where the charity shop is. So they're in need of finding another place, and because I live in a very peculiar suburb in Sydney which is isolated all by itself and connected to nothing else, they're having trouble finding any sort of retail area to work in. Let me throw to some footage of the charity shop in its final days. It's rather sad. Let me just remind you of how this started off. The Anne in the charity shop noticed I was collecting toy trains. I used to get down there and find toys. Before I was on YouTube, I'd get the best toys in the house came from the charity shop. Most people in the suburb where I live would know that. And Anne was quite savvy and used to get to know people who were regulars there. And she said, "Do you collect those Thomas toys, do you?" Sheepishly, I said, "Yes, I do." But I didn't exactly tell her what I was up to. And as I got to know her even further, she said, "Look, we can put those aside for you. Would you like us to do that?" Little did I know what that would kick off for me. Okay, then I said to Anne, "Well, I'm actually a person who looks at toys on YouTube, and particularly I look at the Thomas the Tank toys." And then I started to train her in what to look out for. She became very good at picking off what an Erdl train was, what a take-along train was, what a Tommy train was, and all the rest of the toys. And it was totally amazing for me. But there were other people who collected comics in this shop. There were people who collected certain styles of jewellery, records, DVDs, you name it, that she could focus in on people. She was very good at knowing what people collected. Apart from the Thomas toys, there was also the Lightning McQueen toys, which I've got quite a few of, but nowhere near as many as the Thomas toys. This is a fluid situation. Things may turn around. They may find another business, but I tell you what, I know the suburb where I live, and I think it's going to be very tough for them to find another place which was as good as the place they were in. Okay, it was a very peculiar place because it was all tucked away quiet and not many people knew where it was. That's what made it so awesome, because, well, you didn't have the riffraff of Sydney picking through the store. Let me show you down on the ground here beside me how much stuff they could collect in what was a very short time. I think the stuff on the ground here was collected since January 2017, making this video in October. So let's get down on the ground and I'll show you how much stuff they collected in only a couple of months. Totally amazing. So yes, these tubs and boxes down on the ground here represent what was collected up over about 9 months. Totally awesome what is in here. Some stuff is sort of new in box. There's some little tiny bits of merchandise, but a lot of the merchandise gets split away into other boxes, and I've got boxes and boxes of merchandise as well. And there's also a box here of other train riff-raff paraphernalia. And if I come down to these tubs and we take a closer look, you can just see the huge variety of things that there are here. There are some things which I classify as extremely common, okay, and even maybe like a golden bear Thomas is another very common Thomas toy that I'd see coming through. Chuggington was something I would rarely ever see come through, and maybe that's an insight into why Chuggington sort of disappeared. Hey, this next box here, often they come in plastic bags like this. Very typically how I would get them from the charity shop. Whether that's all from one collection or something that Anne's put together, I never quite know. Look, it might be something from one house. There's an Action Chugger there. Nearly said Action Thomas, didn't I? I don't have Action Thomas anymore, boys and girls, I'm sorry. That was given away and I missed that one. Yeah, no, that was another very common toy, okay. Yeah, like I said, there's one of those torches again. Just, you know, these great tote boxes like that, and that's in really good nick, that one. Some toys had a lot of Thomas love, while others had barely any. And I've got someone talking to me down there. I'm going to get into trouble now. This bag here is totally incredible, and I have to very carefully go through this. And if I lift it up and do that, look at the golden glory in there. It's all Thomas the Tank Wooden Railway. Yeah, I was going to say something about Thomas Wood, but I better not, because I'll get in trouble, won't I, boys and girls, hey? Yes, look at that there. Oh, there's a bit of a take-along or take-and-play in there as well. That would be from one house, I dare say. Very impressive. Here, you know, sometimes you get toys come through and they're basically still in box. I've got something talking to me next. So, yeah, these might have been from like a church fete, because they're marked differently. That's $1. Yeah, they were from a church fete. There was 2 Thomases, a James, and Percy there. They're the Tommy ones that you pull back. They're great. That's how the DVDs were at the charity shop, like that. You can see the price on them there. I think that's the Dark Side Thomas and Annie in there, I think. Yeah, sometimes a bit of Dark Side stuff would come through. Okay, you can see what's in there. Okay, this next tub, remember, this is all just in a couple of months, you know. There's that playmat there, which I believe is a legit thing. Very common. I think I must probably have about maybe 10 of these now. Okay, yeah, look at this. It just keeps going and going. And yes, sometimes stuff completely in box would appear. Quite amazing, isn't it? It's probably worth $1 million now if I threw it up on eBay and tried to trick someone to buy it. You know, awesome looking Thomases like this, which had white runny boards, and it's sadly something we don't see that often now. Okay, it just never seems to stop. You know, things like this, nice golden bear. And, you know, I used to like getting the obscure sort of, that's a Hot Wheels one, I believe, trains like this. I hope I'm correct in saying Hot Wheels, but anything that was train-wise, yeah, it is a Hot Wheels, would come through. And there's something else which is a bit odd bod. That should be in the odd bod box. I haven't really properly sorted those yet. Plushes of all sorts of different sorts. I'm hoping they're real ones. Wow, that is weird, isn't it? That's more scary than anything else. Okay, you can see what's down there. Yeah, sometimes odd bits of track pieces like that. That's from the Tony system. Little things. Well, they're sort of cuties, aren't they? They need investigating. More of these sorts of things. I think that's a Merit toy. Just looking at the bottom here. One of more of the classic ones, in a sense. Okay, back when things were good. You can see what's down there. You know, oh, speaking about things were good, look at that there. Okay, take along stuff. You know, especially things like that. Beautiful, isn't it? Gets you really sad. And then these boxes here, and this is when we start to get into some really awesome stuff. The box is marked down here, as you can see. That is actually the last Thomas toy that I've received from the charity shop. It's a funnel-less one, and that was one which I believe ran around a little book. I actually worked that one out finally. Okay, but that is the last Thomas that I received from the charity shop. In here, look at this, tell me goodness, okay. What I tend to do is I actually go through and check out the batteries of things and everything. Oh, there might be some, oh yes, look at that there, constructions. So I'm yet to work out whether we've got a full set there. But the box underneath this one is, I think, one of the all-time great bits and bobs that I've got from the charity shop. Wait till we see inside here. You want to have a little sneak peek before I take the lid fully off. See it again. It's awesome what's in here, totally awesome. And this is how this box came. So I'm dare say it's all from one collection here, and I've gone through and I've sort of sorted this out. I've taken the batteries out of the toys, and when we take a look at this one, it will be in the future sometime. The most incredible thing, there are the batteries coming out of the toys that I've left in the bag there, but they are out of the toys. The most incredible thing about this lot here is the condition of the toys. Okay, and maybe if I just pull out one, you might get a bit of an idea of what has gone on here. These toys basically come out looking like brand spanking new. Okay, so this is the mystery. Sometimes you get these incredible toys come through and they are like brand spanking new, and you think to yourself, well, why is this the case? What's gone on in this little house where they've had the most awesome Thomas toys, but things haven't been played with, eh? And if I just lift the toy trains out of here very carefully, okay, and then you can start to see other bits and bobs here. Again, it's looking like it's in very good condition. Okay, and we get to see parts of the playsets here, and most importantly with this box of goodness here, okay, you can see what's down there, can't you? You can see they've got these bits here as well, which would have come from the sets. So this is going to hopefully help me organise what's going on here. You can see the sets as I'm just going through these. It's not often you get the constructions that come along with these bits and bobs from the charity shop, but this is amazing, you know, totally amazing. And yeah, things that I just haven't got and I'm loving to take a look at. Yeah, you know, when things like this turn up, I get very excited. I said to myself, wow, how am I going to present this on YouTube? It's a very complex box of toys to take a look at because there's a lot of history going on inside here and a lot of queries about why it's basically brand new. Even the original elastic bands are still around some things. There's more of those bands around things as well, so yeah, I just don't understand why you see this sometimes. Some, you know, odds and bods. I think I've got parts like that in my collection somewhere. But yeah, one of the most amazing sets of toys that I've ever had come through from the charity shop. It's this one, you know, right here. I just put it all back in here. And I'll tell you what, boxes like this are not a common thing. It's very rare to get stuff come through in such good condition. Yes, quite incredible what can be collected from a charity shop, isn't it, when they focus in on something. But you know what, sometimes when I do my collection videos, I show things that I've purchased, and maybe we'll kick off this video with a couple of things that I purchased in store for a couple of different reasons. Up on the table there are three Thomases, should I say, I've purchased in store. I purchased that one at Toys R Us in Australia, which is still kicking on somehow. Do you know why I purchased that one, boys and girls? Can you see why? I also purchased these pair of plushes here. But first we'll take a look at this highly unusual Thomas here. It's called the Thomas Push and Scoot. It looks like it's something that you possibly sit on there by what that little boy is doing on the Thomas. Okay, you got an idea of how it works. Apparently there are buttons to push on this toy. If I push these... Oh, there goes the copyright. It's copyright. If I push the other one... Oh, we get train sounds and Thomas talking. And whistles. And things like that. And if I gently put it over to the side, we're going to read some more info here. Okay, it's licensed to 2017, and there's all that info there. It's from a company called Moose Mountain Toy Makers Limited. So to come in and play with this toy, I've got to remove some parts. I believe these parts here come off. I'll have them right there. I did sort of semi-read it, although I'm a man, I don't read too much at all, and I'm having trouble getting rid of that one there. chicken will sort it out, I'm sure. There we go. Chicken works every single time. Also got to get rid of this, so that's going to require a daddy snip. Okay, that's gone. Now I've got to get rid of this cardboard thing here. In with the chicken again. Look at that. Works every time. Now I'm faced with this here, and the chicken won't do those. So I'm going to have to use the daddy snips again. Very carefully, of course, and I'll hurt Thomas. And I've got to come in and get rid of those plastic bits of nightmare. Chuck them away. And maybe very soon we'll be ready to ride the rails, and I think I've got to insert this piece here the right way around. You'd think that it'd be facing forward, wouldn't you? Maybe it goes in something like this. Oh, there's the music again. Stop! 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 Okay, the chicken is done with. And put him over there gently. And the push and scoot Thomas, or whatever it was called, looks like it's been made. It is a quite unusual looking sort of toy. That's probably the nicest way I could say it. What's your thoughts about that one there? Okay. Yes, you can push that to get music. We won't push it again. This one gives you...
Hello, I'm Thomas.
Yeah, blast in your face, that thing.
One blue engine.
We didn't know that, did we? It does other things, all sorts of sounds there. Yes, you can see what's going on there. Does look like Thomas, but a very elongated version of it. The face is quite random. I'm going to use that as a nice word there. We do have lamp details, at least we've got some buffer details as well. And sort of peculiarly, almost didn't get that word out, the middle wheel is like a lazy wheel. There's no axle running through it. It's only the end wheels have been given proper axles. If you're curious about how this detailing here is done, it's done with a sticker. There's a great big air bubble there. I suppose I should have picked another one, shouldn't I? There is a bit of licensing info there, okay, and I mean the thing about this toy here is that children will play with this for a certain amount of time, and it's basically you see them out in the rubbish pile. That's what I notice. They're always nice, robust toys. Oh, there's that music again, another copyright strike for me. The sort of toys you can't bust. And you're probably wondering, how much did you pay for that wondrous Thomas Leo? How much did you pay? In Toys R Us Australia, which hasn't gone bust yet, it's $50, but it was overseas, and they say it's a $25 toy. Now, personally, and I've seen lots and lots of these styles of toys, this one here, well, I like it because it's a little bit different. Remember, I'm a Thomas collector. If I see something like that, I'm going to be magnetised to it. I think I would get a different style versus this one here. Maybe you like the look of this one, but this is another version which is on the marketplace at the moment. It's this toy here. It's the Thomas Tracks Ride-On. You can see that it does that. The seat unfolds. You can play with your Thomas toys. It comes with a couple of toys as well on the Thomas here. This actually features in another video, so I don't want to get caught up on this one here. But this is a Ride-On Thomas. It is actually totally awesome. I think this Thomas toy here is the one I'd be going for over dun, 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 that Thomas toy right there. Maybe you see it a bit differently. To me, I've got a funny feeling this one wasn't that expensive. It also does copyright strikes like that, plus the other sounds as well. So really, to me, that's where it's at. That one there. Anyway, I'll gently clear the table. We'll move on to our next Thomas toys. Well, the next two Thomases in this Thomas collection video are ones that I purchased with my own money. They did catch my eye in store. They also caught my wallet, and we'll see that in a second. Yes, it's one of these little My First Thomases plush sort of things. They are a little bit off colour, in a sense. It's a very lightish sort of blue. I dare say babies can't tell because it is a baby's toy. It is a real Thomas toy. It is tagged up. Mind you, it is bloated like you see with the knockoff plushes. One thing about a knockoff plush, which this isn't, is they're often overstuffed. Okay, it looks very cute, doesn't it? I dare say little eyes are going to be, thinking this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's sort of nicely detailed, but there's also bits of detailing missing. Okay, and of course the other one's going to look just the same. How much would you pay for a plush this size? You can see how big it is. It's like, will fit into a man's hand quite easily. To a baby, it's going to seem like a ginormous Thomas. How much would you pay for a Thomas like that? How much is too much? Okay, there's the receipt there, and that's the company which I purchased it from. Curiously, that company is going under in Australia. And there's the price there, $39.95. Just 5 cents off $40 for each of those plush Thomas toys. Would you pay that much for these toys? Now, what I could have possibly done is waited for this store to have their mid-year or end-of-year sale. I may have picked them up cheaper, but I thought it'd be a nice curiosity to take a look at it at the top price. Maybe they're made in some exotic country where things are expensive. Let's see where this toy is made, okay? So there's the price tag there. Maybe this has got some special materials or something used in it. Oh, it's got a tag that you put your name on it because it is your first Thomas. Okay, let's just try and find out where this is made. Well, this is the tag I want to look at. There's a bunch of languages there. If we creep up the top, we're going to see English. Okay, there it is there. Made in Vietnam. Well, that's curious to see. I know a few little facts about Vietnam. I've holidayed there, I've worked there. My wife comes from Vietnam, and I know wages in Vietnam are extremely low. So what's so special about this Thomas to give him such a high price? Maybe if I get a knife and slash him open, he could be stuffed with cash. But hey, I'm a Thomas collector. I'm going to look after these Thomases. I'm going to make sure they're going to have a nice home with all my other Thomases. And just before we leave these little guys, I noticed a contradiction on the tags on this. Maybe they're a high price because they are made for extremely young children. The audience will know. I certainly don't. There's that tag there, okay, but if we look on the other side and have a very careful read, we're going to read something apart from Vietnam where it was made, okay? So you can read that there, blah, 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 blah. And down under my thumb there, made in China. And I know we all love a Thomas mystery, so boom, these two guys are giving us a Thomas mystery. And there's one thing I'm never going to forget about those two Thomases there, and that is the high price I paid for those two toys. The next Thomas in this Thomas collection video is also a Thomas plush. This is one that came through the charity shop. It's very different to the plushes that we just took a look at. And if I just spin it around nice and slow, we'll see the Thomas awesomeness that's going on this plush. This is quite unusual. I don't think I've got a plush which is as nicely detailed as this one here, particularly when I think about the way this area here is done. The fact we've got a nice white running board. We've got some lamp details. I think they're the pegs that lamps go on. We've also got like couplers, Velcro-y sort of couplers down here. A brake hose, I hope I'm correct there. We've got nice little buffer things going on there. And the Thomas face, you know, it's not too bad. This is one side of the tag on the toy there. You can see Thomas Limited 2003. And the flip side reads like that. Whatever TIMAT is, I'm not sure who that is, but there's an Australian email address there, ages 3 and up, blah blah, made in China. What makes this plush different to a lot of the other Thomas plushes that I've seen, and this is a legit Thomas plush, not a knockoff one, is that it's been given some shape and refinement for the fact it's got like cardboard pieces in here, or it might be some sort of vinyl in there. I'm not quite sure because I haven't got it open. But it will give you the shape here of the tank area. Okay, so it's quite a nice Thomas for the fact we get these shapes that you don't often see in plushes. I mean, how many times you see a plush and it looks like, you know, something's exploded in it and they're just like a ball of puff. This is one of the nicest shaped plushes that I've seen, and I'll tell you what, if only they're all this Thomas awesome. I notice it's got a thread here. I'm frightened to pull that. It might pull his face off, but the face is on a bit crooked, strangely, and it is very reminiscent of the Erdl paper face. And because I'm Thomas Awesome, I can actually prove that to you. I've got a paper-faced Erdl right next to it, so there you go. Very similar indeed, almost scary similar. The next Thomas Awesome we're going to take a look at is in this bag here. You may have had a sneak peek of this before when I was looking at the masses of boxes of collected stuff. Here they come. Yeah. This is the first little guy we're going to take a look at. It's Harold, and Harold's sticker's gone a bit AWOL there. He's lost a couple of rotor blades. He's obviously been in a bit of a helicopter war. His face looks pretty cool. He's pretty well detailed. And often Harold is lacking detail and left rendered with things missing in a peculiar way. And I'll just bring a little Harold up. One of the smallest ones and one of the best detailed ones is one from a surprise egg, which is quite peculiar. It's weird. You get these anomalies going on with Thomas toys, and sometimes the smallest ones are often the best. This one here, initially I thought, well, what is this? And then I realised, oh, you open it up and it's like a stamper. Okay, there's Harold there. I haven't got any ink, but I don't know whether he's going to stamp or not. No, he's all dried up, hasn't he, hey? But nevertheless, you know, it's nice. It's just a shame he's a bit tattered, and that's Harold. Next one is James, number 5, the red spangly engine. Mind you, James isn't looking that spangly. It looks like he's been in the paint wars. That's nice to see because I can see there's been some Thomas love going on in this, or should I say James love. I don't like it when the toys come through and there's no love showing, be it broken bits or bits that have got covered in paint. There's the stamp that it makes. Maybe this is like from an art set or something. And while I've got James there, you can check out his face, the top and everything. It's not quite nice. We'll just drag Percy into here. Very nice as well. It's a shame, you know, the one missing is Thomas. Once again, Percy's been at the wars. Yeah, it's nicely detailed. It's strange, sometimes the little tiny toys can have details that the bigger ones are missing, and we'll take a look at the stamper there. There you go. There's a nice close-up of the stamp there. Looks like it's had some action. It's nice that the toys have had some action because we hate to see the toys having no action. There's a close-up of Percy's face. We want to see Percy's face nice and clear. And while we're up close, we'll take a look at James as well. So there they are. Dynamic duo. Been having tons of fun. The next Thomas toy we're going to take a look at, it is Gordon, the number 4 blue engine. Oh, the indignity. Someone's put a rubber band around my boiler and strapped my tender to my wheels. Well, okay, Gordon, I'll do my best to get you out of this predicament, but you're going to have to stop whinging on me. Okay, I've freed Gordon from his rubber band nightmare there. This is a 1996 Gordon. I'd classify one of the earlier of the Thomas Wooden Railway styles. I don't know that much about the Thomas Wooden Railway. The earlier stuff didn't have names underneath. That one doesn't have a name, does it? I think it had this peculiar little bit of woodwork there. I know the Thomas fanboys will have a name for that there. And they had very little detail, mind you. They were fully painted. If you have trouble finding the dates on these toys, you've got to look inside the wheel. There it is there, 1996 Brit Oldcroft. Now to the Thomas Wooden Railway diehards, and there's plenty of them about. This is the Gordon that they like because this is the one that they grew up with. There would be many people who would desire this in their Thomas Wooden Railway collection. What is peculiar about this, but I'm not sure whether it was a trait of this type of train, is that its face is on crooked. Looking back at this earlier version of Gordon in the Thomas Wooden Railway, I think is very important at the moment, quite topical because of the advent of Thomas Wood. I haven't got any Thomas Wood yet, that's the next version of these trains. From what I can see, they're basically stripped back of paint. You get to see bare timber, okay? I'm not sure about the scale, if the scale's different. I have seen some videos online and they show some engines have been, well, downsized. I'm saying the word downsized very carefully there. But maybe the biggest stark difference was a later version of Gordon. That's a 2003 Gordon there, and you can just see how it's detailed, a slightly different shade of blue as well. But when we look around the front here, I think it's where it all falls apart versus the earlier one. Which face would you prefer to have? I'm sure 99% of my audience is going to say that earlier Gordon there is the right face, whereas the one that came along a bit later on, well, to me that looks more like Henry. Just that's the way I see it. I'm glad I've got these two different very Gordons in my hand here, side by side, because I know which one in time is going to be worth more money. I can tell you this right now, it's going to be this classic Thomas Wooden Railway Gordon. And the one big difference in them, apart from the detailing difference on the faces, this later one has got so much more plastic incorporated in the design. The front there, it's all plastic. Early one, it was timber. That's the way toys should be made. And even when we look at the tenders, that is the classic older tender there. And it's got the painted on detail of the coal. This is the one which came along a bit nicer and it's got a plastic insert as the coal. Yes, it's like the tale of two toys. And what I'll do is I'm going to power these two Gordons around. That's this beautiful earlier Thomas Wooden Railway Gordon, plus the later one that came along with my remote controlled Brio train here. And if I switch the right button here, if I turn it on first, it's going to help, and push the right button, we'll get these Gordons going. Okay. And we'll see which one looks more awesome when it's moving around under a bit of power. There's our classic one first, and there's our, well, a little bit less classic one coming up behind. I'm not even going to pretend to be an expert on the earlier version of Thomas Wooden Railway. I know there's lots of people out there on YouTube who know far more than me and have grand collections of this stuff. But there's a very simplistic joy to that toy there that's shouting out at me. And if we just creep the other one along in a funny way, that Gordon there's trying a little bit too hard. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe you can have your 5 cents to say on it as well. Oh, the indignity! I'm sandwiched between an earlier version of myself and a Brio City train! And the other thing that I've noticed with the Thomas Wooden Railway stuff, when it's come through from the charity shop, I don't see much of the earlier stuff like that. That's been a little bit hard to come by, but I have seen a fair bit of stuff from that era there. The next Thomas and Friends bit of joy we're going to take a look at resides in this bag here. It may have come from one collection. I'll just get it out of the bag and I'll try and work out what's what. It looks pretty darn awesome. I've got them sorted out, I put batteries in where they should be, and we'll take a look at the Checkout Thomas first. This here is the all-famous Checkout Thomas. In Australia, you could buy them at the checkouts for $2 back in the mid-2000s. This is 2007, marked underneath. They had fake little wheels there, because the wheels on the side were just details. Very, very, very common toy that comes through. There were different themed version Thomases as well. Quite unusual looking, they were extremely popular, but nevertheless, it's a Checkout Thomas. And back then, these small and expensive toys were even given buffer detailing. That's something you rarely ever see today. The next one, it's a fairly awesome little toy. It's Rosie, it's Learning Curve. Yeah, hey. Wow, there's something about this that sort of says, well, old Thomas toys. Let's take a look at the date. I think that says 2006, hope I'm right. And there's the name there, Rosie. Yes, very nice. It's showing a little bit of Thomas love. There's bits of paint work chipped off there. Back in the day when these toys had a fair bit of metal in it, hey? Nice toy. Let's take a close look at the face. There's Rosie's face for you. You can have your 5 cents on what you think about that there. It looks nicely reliefed, detailed. Trying to think of the right word there. We've got buffer detailings, we've got smart magnets. It's a very different time for the Thomas toys back then. Very, very different indeed. You can almost feel the quality in this toy when it's in your hand. There's a lot of weight to it. They had metal at the front here, the earlier versions of these toys as well. The take-alongs, very, very nice. Yeah, such a very, very different time for Thomas toys. My goodness gracious me, I actually have the Thomas Adventures Rosie, and I'm extremely curious to make a comparison of this Rosie of today, that is the time when I'm making this video, versus the Rosie from yesteryear. I hope you guys have been collecting your Thomas Adventures. They are a little bit tricky to find, I have found. You've got to do a lot of searching around. And actually looking at Rosie reminds me of a YouTuber called Rosie the Cutie, a long-term person I've known on YouTube, and I've seen comment on my videos over many, many years. And here comes Rosie. Well, the first, it's as light as a feather versus the other thing I just had in my hand. Nevertheless, let's compare this Rosie versus the older one. I'll do a weigh-in Thomas Adventures first. There we go. Ooh, 40 grams versus the take-along 60 grams. My crikeys, that's 20 grams difference. 20 grams difference between these two Rosies. So the Thomas Adventures Rosie's 40 grams. Well, half of 40 is 20. Half of the weight of this one is the difference between the Thomas Adventures Rosie and the Thomas Take-Along Rosie. And maybe if we carefully look at these two Rosies side by side, making comparisons between the Thomas Adventures and the Take and Play, we can start to see there are many, many differences between these two toys. But I think one of the major differences is the difference in weight. There is so much more metal and so much more going on in the Take-Along, it's not funny. It is sort of funny because I often focus on more of the mainstream characters and I don't drift onto the secondary and tertiary type characters. Am I surprised by seeing this difference in my hand? No. Which toy do I think presents the greater value? Well, that's a no-brainer. This Take-Along here, to me, is where it's at. And it's funny, we were so critical of Take-Along when it first appeared because we got these condensed, distorted engines, but the goodness of them did appear once the toys were morphed into different things like this one here, which is even more condensed and simplified and dumbed down. Did we ever want a toy like this? There's a big query here. It's a cheaper toy in a sense, but you're getting far less bang for buck. I think I prefer to have a toy like this one here. And let's just finish off by looking at the Rosies and comparing one face versus another. And I think maybe in this one here, I think the more modern face is going to win it here. Maybe you can have your 5 cents to say on that. I don't know. To me, the more modern CGI face is where it's at. But in the end, little children don't notice changes in toys. They're not going to analyse them like the way adults do and fanboys. One thing about this Take-Along Rosie is, and it's reminded me about the way the axles would go wonky and funny after a lot of play, it's a bit of a lumpy runner. If you can see the way Rosie's moving there, I can feel it up through my finger. Her axles are slightly bent and buckled because she's had fun in the railways. And our nice fresh pinwheeled axle Rosie here's a beautiful smooth runner, but I don't know how much banging and clanging it takes to destroy the pinwheels. Maybe someone out there can explain that one to me. The next item, it's a beautiful piece of take-along rolling stock. It's a snow globe of some sorts, and if I give it a bit of a shake around, we can get the snow going in this. Although, we've got a big air bubble in there as well, which isn't really helping. There we go. It says Season's Greetings. I think it says Lower Tidmouth inside there. Am I correct? I'm not sure whether it came with a Percy or a Thomas dressed up as Christmas. It does say 2004. It's also saying it's a snow globe car. It's really, really nice. I'm wondering whether it always had the big air bubble in there, which I think is something that maybe it didn't have at the start. Maybe my audience knows more about these than I do. But it's the only one of these that I've got. Okay, I'm sure the audience will fill in the gaps of exactly what this does. There's no sign on the other side of that building there. It's really, really nice. You know, take along stuff, hey. Keep an eye out for it because it's nice. And what I'll allow Rosie to do with her lumpy wheels is take away the beautiful snow globe there. There she chugs, chugga, chugga, chugga. And in comes the next train for inspection. And the last one in this video, it's a take-along Thomas the Tank with a Sodor Zoo lion and a couple of monkeys. Well, this little train here, it's beautiful. I've got a couple of Thomas take-alongs now. Really, really nice. I don't have rolling stock like this. So it was a bit of a mystery to me when I got these. As soon as I uncouple this and you put in your hand, you feel the quality. You feel the quality a lot. The monkeys are plastic, I believe. I can bend them, but I don't want to snap the little heads off. Noticing the way they are painted up and detailed, it is just lovely. It's got some nice weight to it. It's got magnet couplings that everyone liked. No one complained about this coupling system on these trains. The line needed to be fixed up a bit. Let me uncouple Thomas here. Actually, I'll uncouple the monkeys as well. And the batteries in this, because it's a sound maker, they were in pretty poor condition. And I've only just got this in the nick of time, I can tell you. The batteries go underneath there. And if I push the lion's head and get rid of these dead batteries here, which are now stuck to the magnet, you hear this. It is just really, really nice. Now, anyone playing with this toy is going to love to look at this, make sounds like that, and have a little circus train. I don't think we see toys like this anymore. And I'm absolutely certain we don't get Thomas the Tanks like this anymore. Let me clear out those old batteries. Yes, the Thomas take-along, a nice weight. When it first appeared on the scene, what preceded this was the Thomas Erdl that everyone loved. People didn't like this because it looked very babyish. The magnet system on this was very smart. I think that was the joy of these toys. Once I saw my children play with these, I started to understand them a bit more. Okay, you can tell these quite easily by the way they are painted up. They're painted up a little bit differently. The number one's large. It's got a bit of a moon face. And I think the stark contrast is if I put the take-along there and today's version of Thomas the Tank, man, there is such a difference between those two there. It ain't funny at all. I mean, who knows? Some people may argue, well, the Thomas Adventures toys are the best ones about. If you don't know what preceded this, you're probably going to say that. But then again, I think the coupling system on this, I think it's actually better than the magnet system, but hey, you might want to argue with me on that. Nevertheless, it's when you get these older classic toys and you start to run them around, you can feel the quality in these toys. The weight makes them feel like quality. The way they're finished off, the way they are detailed, the size and scale of them, the fact that they look pretty good and not too bad. I think that is a lot of the joy of these toys, and sadly I think the more modern Thomas toys are starting to miss those important qualities. And it's strange to watch, but the toy companies love to make toys, not talk to the ones that preceded it. Why do they do that? I'm always going to come back to the classics, and I could sit here for hours upon hours and play with my take-along Thomas here, pulling the zoo trains there. Rosie's coming along with a bit of Christmas banter as well. And I'm going to live happily ever after with my classic Thomas toys. I'm never going to complain about it. Hello.
Hello.
I'd like you to take a look at some toys on the table here. I want you to speak nice and loudly and say what you feel of what you see going on here. The first one I'm going to bring up here is this Thomas with this zoo train. Press the lion's head.
It's going to make a roar sound, is it?
How do you know? Okay. Okay, that's going to be like that, yeah. What's your thoughts about that toy? Quickly?
It's really good.
Do you like it better than the new toys you see today?
I like it than the new toys, actually both.
Oh, you're a diplomat. Your future's going to be a diplomat, okay? The next toy, we'll move that one away. Okay, we've heard enough lines. Maybe that's... Okay, this one here, Rosie, and that snow globe. What do you think of that one there?
Dad.
Yeah.
Can you tie some string around there and put it on the Christmas tree?
Tie some string around this.
And put it on the Christmas tree?
That's actually a very, very nice Christmas thought, isn't it, hey?
Yeah.
Do you like that piece there?
Yeah.
Do you like it a lot?
And I flip it over.
Yeah. There we go. Matilda's some ideas to make a nice little, nice little toy there.
It's every day where that Disney Channel flows.
Oh. Maybe that's why I don't include you too much in the videos. Now, here's a question for you. Which Gordon here do you prefer? Have a very careful look at them first. I'm telling you, they're going to both play very awesome. Do you know do you know why they're different?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Look at this Gordon. Line, no lines. No lines. Detailing, no detailing.
Yeah, okay. You should be doing toy reviews. What about the face? Take a look at the face. Which face do you prefer? Tell me which face. Quick.
The very derpy face.
There we go. You like this face, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He kind of looks like Edward a bit.
Oh, there we go. There's a conspiracy theory.
When you take the tent off.
Well, that's because of the way this hasn't got much detailing. Yeah, these are very important things that you're saying. So if you were going to have a choice of one of these two, which one would you have? Oh, no.
This one.
Double-tended Gordon, hey? You want this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's enough said, and I think that's a nice way to finish this video, hey?